preparing, meetings being live streamed. Got it. Okay. So, done. No wonder people look funny. Preparing, meetings being live streamed. Got it. Okay, off to you, Paulina. Okay.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to give you a little bit of Insurance 101 today. I was thinking the other day, what can I share with you? And I don't want this presentation to be boring. I want it to be useful and something that's useful for those that are just starting out in their businesses or those that have been in business for a while, but perhaps overlook their insurances as something must have, don't really want to pay the bill, but well, you know what, I'm just going to pay it anyway. But you don't really go into it and don't think about what are you insured for. So I thought I'll give you some basic information, some terminology, some things to look out for, and also we'll run you through some basic types of insurance policies you should probably consider. But remember, we're all individuals, and something that I need in my business doesn't necessarily apply to your business, but still take note, research, and if you're not sure, reach out to me and I'm more than happy to guide you with that. So first of all, you've all got some sort of insurance, whether it's for you personally or for your business. And you go and you pay the insurance policies and probably thinking, what kind of information, what kind of documents do I need to get? These are the most essential things that you need to get from your insurance broker or your insurance company if you go direct. An invoice, so it should say tax invoice, and it should have all the information there of what you're to pay, or if you've already paid it, you should still have your tax invoice for tax purposes. You should have a schedule of insurance. A schedule of insurance is a basic summary of an insurance policy that you are purchasing or have purchased. So it would have basic details there, and I'll run you through those details in a second. You should always get a policy wording, or otherwise known as PDS. So it's a booklet that we used to get in the mail with lots of, hundreds of pages, and you would look at the first few pages of colorful pictures and never read it. But it's a very important document. It describes what you've purchased. It describes an insurance policy. It gives what it's covering and what it's not covering, all the terms and conditions and the fine print that you need to know. So very important booklet. And if it's on your email, for example, quite easily you can search for an area that you're looking for. So not everything may apply to you, but things that you need to know will definitely be there. You should also get a document that's quite important that's called Certificate of Currency. That's your proof that you're insured. So in business, we often have to show that proof to somebody. It may be our landlord, or it may be a client that you're about to do some work for, and they say, how do I know you're insured? That's the document that you sent them. It doesn't have any information about how much you've paid. It doesn't have a lot of information, but it just tells that other party that's receiving it that your insurance runs from a certain date to a certain date, the limit of cover that it's providing, and that it's in the name of your business or your personal name. That's basically a validation to them that you are insured. Just to note, certificate of currency is only current at the time of issuing. So just because you got a certificate when you got the policy, if you haven't paid for your policy, it doesn't mean that certificate is current. So if somebody says to you, I want a more current copy, just reach out to your insurance broker or your insurance company and they'll give you a more updated one, and it shouldn't cost you a cent. So these are the most essential documents that you need for your insurance policy. If you don't have those, ask for these documents because you should keep it on file for every insurance policy that you obtain. There's other extra documentation that's now been added on for some certain classes of insurance, and it's called Total TMD. So it's just a little document about how you can complain about the insurer or an insurance broker or the product that you've received. You may or may not get it. It depends on the product that you're purchasing. Just something that you need to know if you do get it from your insurance broker of why it's being sent. It's a legal requirement now. But when you get these documents, you probably see a lot of words, or you may talk to your insurance broker and get certain terminology and you think, I don't know what these things mean. So I thought it's important just to run you through 4 basic terminology items so that you can, next time sound like you know more about insurance than you did before this presentation. So insurance broker might say to you, it's important that you get the right coverage. So the word coverage, you might think, oh, what is that? Basically, there are specific things that can trigger insurance policy. A building might burn down and there needs to be a certain coverage for that building. Or there might be a water damage and you need to know that the coverage is available under your policy. So it's basically whatever your cover is, you need to know that it's specific to your needs. So the word coverage is quite important. Insurance policies can have exclusions. So often you'd see exclusions on your schedule. So these are things that are not covered under your policy. And so that you don't assume that they're covered, they're usually listed on your schedule as things that are excluded from your cover. So a good example is something that in Australia we got affected by is flood cover. A lot of policies would exclude flood cover. As soon as you see that, but you know that you're in a flood zone, that should ring some alarm bells to you, and you should ask your broker or your insurer, what about flood cover? It's excluded, but I need it because I'm in a flood zone. And they will find you an alternative if it's available that includes that in your coverage. Another really important term is limit of insurance. That's basically the maximum amount of money that the insurer will pay out for a certain policy that they issue to you. So limit of insurance is really important. Most of you on the screen today possibly would have public liability insurance for your businesses. So have a look on your schedule of insurance. What limit of cover is provided? You probably would have something like 5 million or 10 million for public liability, or 20 million is probably the most commonly selected. So if there is a claim, the insurer will pay up to that $20 million. And if there is a claim for some reason for $25 million, well, $5 million is not going to be coming from the insurance pocket, something that you have to pay. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So limit of cover, that's really important. Even on your personal insurance policies, have a look what limit of cover for your home is insured. Make sure that you're not underinsured and not overinsured either. So limit of cover, that's a good term to look out for. And another one, just the last one to point out to you today, is deductibles, otherwise known as excess, but on a lot of policies would be named as deductibles. If you ever have a claim, excess or deductibles is coming out of your pocket before insurer makes any further payments. So that's your excess. A very good example, we all drive cars. If you have a car accident, you've got to pay an excess, and then the insurer repairs your car if you're at fault. It's no different to any other policies that you may have, except deductibles can be very different. Deductibles is a really good mechanism sometimes to bring the premium payment down. So, we all say, how can I minimize the cost of my insurance? A lot of times, the higher the deductible is, the lower your premium is. Certain policies have standard deductibles and you can't change it, but in a lot of business policies, if you opt for, say, $5,000 deductibles, it can significantly drop your premium amount that you have to pay. So that's a good thing to note on your schedule and see, have a discussion with your broker and say, I think I can afford a high deductible because the chances of me having a claim are very low. Or I might have, a claim, sometimes, but I don't want to part with a lot of money paying for my insurance. So can we bring my premium down, increase my deductibles? A good conversation to have with your insurance brokers. So this is a bit of terminology. Hopefully that gave you a bit more knowledge when you look at those documents to understand them a bit better. You'll also see things on your documents like financial services guide that describes everything about the how you can complain about the insurance broker or insurance company, It just gives you a bit more of an idea. And the reason why it's there, it's a legal requirement, but it also gives you confidence that you know if something goes wrong, what to do about that. You shouldn't be left wondering or, unaware of what's provided, what's allowed. There are also terms and conditions that you would see on all the schedules. Also read those because they're fine print that you need to know. Okay, so now let's talk about some types of insurance policies that your businesses may need. I've mentioned public liability. It's quite important, just very briefly. If you were to injure a third party or damage their property, public liability is the only policy that you need that would respond. So for example, we all go to a lot of events, right? Event organizers should have public liability because any of us as participants or a third party to that event can trip and fall, break our leg, and then not being able to work. That's a big risk. And it's a big risk for the organizer because, if that happens and they haven't got public liability in place, what do? They have to pay out of their pocket to give you rehabilitation and possibly your loss of income as well. So a lot of times venues have public liabilities and then they request for the organizers of the events to also get public liability insurance. It applies to most businesses. If you are client facing, if you're seeing suppliers, if you're having any meetings, that's applicable. So highly advise you to get that done. Also, a lot of us on the screen today have a product that we sell, right? A product, somebody can say, oh, I suffered an allergic reaction or I had a problem as a result of your product. So a good thing to have is a product liability. Usually public liability and product liability are sold as one policy, but they have separate limits of insurance that I spoke about earlier. Very important that you have product liability because even if your product is perfect, somebody can just allege that they had a problem, and for you to fight it through the court system is a lot of money. So if you have an insurance policy, you pay a small deductible for an excess, and then the insurer covers the rest, and they represent you in that claim. And hopefully they win and you're not at fault, but it's still something that you would have otherwise have to pay out of your pocket. So public liability, product liability, really important to have. Some of us on the screen today, like myself, we give advice, right? Even what I'm doing today is a form of advice. For that, we need professional indemnity insurance. Don't underestimate that cover. If we're giving advice, it sometimes can be misused. And we're giving clients perfect advice, but they apply it wrong. And then as a result, they suffer some kind of loss. Or our advice was negligent. The only policy that would protect us and our businesses is professional indemnity insurance. And it's really important that you've got the right coverage, that it's specific to your industry. We see a lot of problems when clients get incorrect cover and then somebody tries to make a claim and the insurer says, but you didn't tell us that your business is doing this, that, and that. You just told us very high level, I'm a consultant, but you didn't tell us that you're a mindset coach. And we didn't note that on your policy, so we're not going to pay. So really make sure that occupation on your professional indemnity insurance is stated correctly. If you're ever unsure, check with your insurance broker. They will give you guidance for that. Just a few more things.
1 minute.
1 minute, okay.
Yeah.
Just something that I'm very passionate about is cyber insurance. If you're storing clients' data or anyone's data and that can be misused or stolen, get cyber insurance. And there's many other policies and I can go on and on and on, but I just thought I'll bring out the most important highlights of what you need to be aware of. If you're ever unsure, give me a call. I'm more than happy to guide you. And even if you have your current policies, more than happy to review it for you. If what you have is the best, I'll tell you to keep it because sometimes there's no point changing. But if I can improve on your policies or help you to have your business a bit more bulletproof when it comes to insurance, I'll be more than delighted. Any questions?